Welcome everyone to tonight's Entrepreneur Inside Straight Talk. Tonight we are especially very proud and honored to host and to invite very esteemed speaker as our panelists. They are all the captains of the captains as well as the leaders of the industry. I would like to first introduce Dato Sri Thiam, Chairman of Federation of Malaysia Fashion, Textile and Apparel. Dato Sri Garry Chua, President of Malaysia Retail Chain Association. Dato Wira Haji Ameer, CEO of Datin. Datin Winnie, Deputy President of Branding Association Malaysia. Welcome everyone to the show. As well we all know, SME accounts for about 98.5% of businesses with some 6 million workers, contributing a little over 1/3 of the gross domestic product GDP. And yesterday, our PM has announced the 4th stimulus package, named Datin PKS. This stimulus package is worth 10 billion, and some of the key highlights that being presented was the wage subsidy. The wage subsidy was raised from 5.9 billion to 13.8 billion. Firm with over 200 workers will get a subsidy of 600 per workers. Quota raised from 100 packs to 200 packs. For workers which ranges from 76 to 200 packs will get 800 each worker, and below 75 packs will get 1,200 per workers. Of course, the main condition is to retain the workers for at least 6 months. First off, maybe Dato Ameer, you can give some comments on this. What would be the implication of this wage subsidy?
I think the most important thing here is, I think first and foremost, I think the government has finally addressed the major challenges that all the PKS, the smaller ones at least, that are having, which is the wage. I mean, we pay people, of course, I'm sure out there PKS pay people 2,000, 2,500 and whatnot. But by giving this so-called 1,200 for the majority of the SME, because majority will be employing 74 people and less. Yeah. So in this sense of the word, it has addressed a very major concern for the majority of the employees. But the challenges, of course, are what happens to the bigger players. Okay. There are many people who employ more than 200. There are people who employ 1,000 or 2,000. Even people like me employ 10,000 people. All right. Wow. So I think the challenge here is that what happens to the bigger player, and we must not always think or assume that the bigger players can always afford to pay their employees, because the bigger they are, the more challenges they are facing. Yes. Because the wage bill is much, much bigger than the smaller players. So all of us must look things at perspective. You are small, you also got big problems. The big one also got bigger problems. Yes. So that doesn't seem to have addressed seriously what happens to the bigger players when they employ so many people. Especially many of them are also closed during the MCO and do not expect that the business will suddenly jump up after the MCO.
Understand. Dato Sri Garry, would you want to comment on this?
Okay, I think I agree with Dato Wira Ameer. You see, I think what government in this aspect that overlook the bigger player. I give you a typical example of a typical retailers. They say we have a turnover of 30 million a month. Most probably, 1/3 of the money will go to the renter, 1/3 to our supplier, another 1/3 to the wages, for the wages. Yes. You see, I think most of the people, even the bigger player, you are not SME, but with the turnover 30 million, it can be a medium-sized corporation now, which are not entitled or only limited to the what you call it, the 200 employee. Most probably what Dato Wira said that we will be employing thousands of workers. Okay. You see, the problem with us is with the 30 million inflow every month, 1/3 go to renter, we go to renter, then we go to the supplier and wages. You see, none of us will have 30 million cash in the bank. I think most of these people, they would have cash maybe a maximum to survive for 1 month, that means for 1 month wages. So this is the cash flow problem. Although you can say the bigger player, they have been making money and they should have the reserve, But at this point in time, it's not the plot. It's not only looking at the P&L. We're also looking at the cash flow.
Okay.
So I think that is I agree with the Dato Seri. I mean, that we should the government should also look at the bigger player.
You know, if I may comment here.
Yes, Dato, go ahead.
I think first you must say I think the government has done an excellent job of taking care the majority of the small SMEs. I think all of us, whether we are bigger or biggest or however you want to put it, we all understand that the most important are the people down there.
Yes.
People are down there who might not survive, who take home 1,000, 200, 2,000. I think that part the government has done, so which is an excellent Prihatin package. The second, I think, like all of us are saying, is that the bigger players got bigger wage bills, and seriously, we don't have that kind of cash flow because we all know the business, even before the COVID-19, it is being really going down. We know many hypermarkets are closing down. Someone has just sold one of their hypermarkets. So it must be tough out there for people to do this kind of things. I mean, even for people like us, we are really, really in a tough bind. I mean, outside, people can look at it and say, wow, very busy because now essential services, your shop seems to be packed.
Yeah.
But people tend to forget that our kind of business, yes, we do on volume, but now people are only focusing on food, only focusing on essentials. We base our business model on a margin mix. So now with this kind of volume, our margins are so low that we're actually losing money every day. So now thinking of paying wages, I have no idea how this is going to be done. Seriously. And maybe I think we also need to highlight here that maybe the government needs a little more time. They're coming up with one package at a time, address the most important, the most poorest first. And I think that's the most important thing. Fine. Address the most poorest first, but don't forget us, because we employ a lot of people and a lot of also employ local. I mean, like we employ 10,000, of which more than 8,000 are also local employees. So this is very, very, very important. So I'm sure there are many, many out there with so many local employees. So I think we need to look at it, and maybe after this association will be able to bring up to the government, and after government sorting out the so-called the poorer part, the people down there, they need to look out for the bigger players.
Yes. Dato Sri, Garry, I understand you were also involved in the proposal and the discussion with the PM and the government servants. Maybe you can share with us some of the insights that you have. I mean, partly this stimulus package also is through a lot of association lobbying for it, for the government side to put more focus into SME. Dato Sri, Garry, could you elaborate a little bit on that?
I think first of all, we also have to commend the government, especially the relevant ministries, and also given very strong representation by, though not 100% involved, YBV from Transport Ministry was given very strong representation on behalf of all the SMEs. So I think the government has heard us, and you can see that some of the packages are addressing some of the issues of the SME. But in this case, it's very micro SME, you see?
Yes.
It's micro SME. You look at the second package stimulus, it was very B40, M40, and also the e-hailing assistance package, which was very good. We need to address that because those are very basic. But now you look at this, it's very more micro. You can see that government is giving 3,000 ringgit per company, and also loans up to 10,000 ringgit. There is no more interest.
Yeah.
And there's also what you call it, other things that goes along to help the
microcredit. 500 million, 2% interest.
The 500,000, if they take 500,000, the interest is only 2% now.
Yes.
So this is very good. But the thing is that there are a few other areas. I think like the banks and all these can do much more. For example, the banks, as I mentioned, we have sent representation that the bank should at least give a 50% discount on the interest rate. Currently, the interests are still running, although they have removed the compounded. So the banks also have to chip in, because during the good days, they make a lot of money from all the companies and private and public. I mean, the private companies and also those personal accounts, you see. So that is one thing that the bank should come in to chip in. And then on the other side, the other GLCs like DNB, as I mentioned, it's only 15% to the malls. We want the malls to give us more rebate and also to help them cushion a lot of the costs, you see. So if let's say DNB, I mean, it's a public utility company, as I mentioned, it's supposed to do part CSR. It cannot be making so much money. It should pump in at least half a B or even 1B. Last year they make 4B to pump in to support the what you call it, especially the malls and the commercial areas. The good thing they have done for the households, you see. So now it's high time they also come and chip in on this area. And of course, things like levy for the workers, 25% rebate, I think that is the most welcome. But the other area I think lacking is not really firm announcement on the rental, which plays a very big part of the most of the SMEs and retailers.
Okay.
And that is one area the government has given quite a generous tax deduction for the next 3 months for those malls who are going to give rebates of minimum 30%. But you see, during the lockdown, 2 weeks before the MCOs and after 2 weeks after the MCO, you don't expect any business. You look at China today. Now it's almost 3 months already, 2 to 3 months. And even the malls and many of the public places, it's only fill up about 40-50%. People are still very cautious about going out. So we don't expect much business to go on, is it? So and this is one area I think very critical. A lot of the F&Bs and other smaller retail companies are dead worried about the rentals. You see, if less, especially some of the bigger malls, the rentals are quite high, is it, because of the iconic locations and all those. You see, it's not possible to pay rental, let's say, of 100,000, 200,000 a month.
Yeah.
Even they give you 50% rebate with no business, how are you going to pay that?
Yes.
It's because you still have to pay partly to your workers and other areas of expenses. Yeah.
So mostly we cover now on the wage subsidy, but what do you think the wage subsidy, is it enough? Should it be more? What is your take on that?
You see, the good thing, the government has doubled up in terms of the ceiling from 100 to 200 now, and they also slightly increased the amount from 600 to 800, from 76 and above to 200. And the government has also listened to us to increase to 1,002, but there's a bar up to 75 staff only, you see.
Yes.
So this is quite restrictive. So very important. I think this is one area the government should extend above 200 to help, especially, you see, many of our members are chain members. Not only our members, many of them are non-members, they are chain, you see. When you have a chain, you have easily 500, 1,000, or easily more than 1,000 staff, you see. So how are they going to tie over? For example, let's say just with the ceiling of 200 staff, anything above 200, it's not easy for them to pay them, is it?
Yes.
You get what I mean? So this will be another very big challenge. The government should come in to assist this group of what do you call it, the slightly or middle SME, I call it.
Yeah, understand.
If this is not addressed, it's also going to be a very big issue in terms of retrenchment and all this. Because most of these our members are all chain members, especially restaurant, F&B, and fashion. They have chains of outlets all over the place.
Thank you, Dato Sri. Datin, your side, I'm sure yours is more than 200 staff. So what do you think of the wage subsidy introduced by the government on this latest stimulus package?
Well, I mean, to begin with, at first I thought it was a very good package, but to think of it, it's good for a lot of hair salons, because most hair salons are actually having a small group of people. But on our side, of course, when we have more than 200, sometimes you look at it, it's not so fantastic. But at least it's helping out the hair industry, which I look at it. When you are talking about helping out SME, like what Datuk Seri has mentioned, and even Datuk Wira mentioned, there are some people who have bigger group will not fall into this category of welcomeness, because somehow we feel something is still missing the link.
Correct.
And yeah, somehow, so, but overall, at least I'm happier for the thing that we are supposed to fight for, because a lot of hair industry people are already really crying because many of them are on the smaller scale. But people like us, somehow we feel that something is still missing, but we fall into a category of we are not big, we are not small, but we are medium. So that is where the worrisome thing is. And of course, I think even then I was told that there was still quite a lot of things to be looked into. So it's not so straightforward, but we'll try to really get it more certain with the accountant tomorrow, I think.
Of course, the second thing that introduced in this stimulus package was the creation of 2.1 billion pre-Datin special grant for all SME companies that qualify. The government will provide a special grant of 3,000 to each company. I think this is mostly more applicable to the micro, and it is expected to benefit nearly 700,000 micro SME nationwide. This SME must register with IRB to enjoy this grant. The government will also be abolishing the 2% interest rate for the 500 million micro credit scheme under Bank Simpanan Nasional. What do you all think of the initiative driven by the government on this latest stimulus to help out the micro enterprise?
If I may comment.
Yes, Dato. Yes.
Of course, when we see government giving money,
yes,
no one is going to say no, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, it's a grant.
And of course,
yes,
it's a grant. And I think all of us here in this panel are of a different size.
Yes.
But we are always very grateful because I think all of us started very, very small. We were the Pasar Malam people. Yeah. We were the one with the small business. So we understand. And I keep repeating. I mean, we cannot ask too much from the government. We are very, very, very grateful because these are the people down there who need the most, and they are the one. If they are doing okay, our business will do better.
Yes.
I think that's the first point. But when you give $10,000 to micro enterprise,
yes,
I think it's a very good initiative from the government. But what I would suggest to the government, don't give the money to them tomorrow. You are already giving them $1,200 or whatever, correct?
Okay. Yes.
They cannot do business now. They cannot open their tea stores or the Pasar Malam or the small garment factory that they have. So by giving this extra $10,000, my concern is that the money will be used for normal expenses. Okay? So it's very important that the money is given, very good, but wait for the MCO to be lifted, and then only the money should be disbursed. Then only at least they want to start up the so-called, whether it's a Pasar Malam operator or a small shop, that's when they get the money, then they use it for that purpose, you see.
Yes.
I mean, in difficult times like this, if people tend to forget, I get my 10,000, I will straight away try to help whoever I can, or then I will not have enough money to do my business later. So we're back to square one. I think this is a very important point as far as giving money. Giving money is good. Giving a grant is somewhat better because it's very difficult for them to pay back. But give it to them at the right time.
With the right purpose as well. If this money can be given to their supplier, then the whole ecosystem will be even more smoother. Yeah, Dato Sri Garry, would you want to comment on that?
I mean, to the micro SMEs, this probably means a lot. Is it? If let's say you have one employee alone, or even 2 or 3, this means a lot to them. The 3,000 ringgit and also the soft loan of 10,000 ringgit. I think we have to leave it to their discretion to use it because they will know they have to plan their cash flow at this juncture of very challenging period. Everybody is facing cash flow problem. I think it's a big relief also to the micro. But coming back to the higher level of SMEs, that one have not been addressed in the most in totality. So that one,
Yeah.
I think the government have to relook at it, see how to assist further in this area.
Yeah.
I think then you try to assist the whole spectrum of the SMEs, not just the micros. Because the middle, they have many, middle and above the SMEs, they have a lot of stuff. If they can't pay, and then also you're going to have a very vicious cycle of all retrenchment and all those, or even drastic salary cut of 50% or whatever. So the government, hopefully the government will relook at it again to assist, especially many of our members are all chain members. You know, they have easily 500 and above members. They keep been calling me and say, how am I going to pay salary? You know, since the government is only capping at 200, above 200, it's data again. They have to find money. Where to find the money? You see, at this juncture, there's no income. You see?
Yeah.
So they're really in dire straits. The government must really help this area of SME, especially the chain members.
Yeah, you see, if the micro, like let's say, if I just take it as my kind of trade, there are some hairdressers who may even have one staff.
Yes.
they run a business which is very, very low, and they are being helped. So even if they don't open for the next whole month, I think they are happier because no need to work and yet have the money. But in a sense that it don't really, I mean, it helps. There's very micro, but it does not help people like us who are running business in shopping malls where rental are high. And whatever it is, there's no way that it helps us even in the longer run, because this business is not going to swing off so quickly. Even if we open back in let's say by May, if it's not extended, I believe there will be still very slack in business. And and we even with that little help, it's not going to help us maintain the business well. It's going to be really, really difficult also.
Understand.
But of course, like I said, it's very good, very happy for the micro, and also, and in fact, for those staff who really do nothing, and yet I think there was someone who commented to me, even via Facebook. There's some people who commented, well, best to extend the MCO so they don't even need to work, because
and get
they
paid.
don't need to work, they have money and they get paid, and government is paying, the boss is paying. So I think it's still very worrisome.
I think it's good. I think it's right to have all these micro enterprises. But personally, I think the timing of disbursement is very important, because most of these small micro businesses, I would say their budgeting skill may not be so good. So if one shot, if you give them all the money, then after MCO, they might have spent all the money. So I don't know how the government to disperse it, but I think we have to be staggered and disperse it, and maybe with the bigger sum toward the end after MCO, so they can start up their business instead of spending all the money.
Sorry, Chua.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
For someone listening into this conversation that we are having,
yes,
will have a different impression, obviously. They'll be thinking that these big tycos are sitting here and don't seem to understand what is happening down there. I think, and I am very sure everybody is saying the same thing.
Yes.
We're very appreciative for what the government is doing. Yes. I think the government is doing the right thing by helping the people down there. There's no issue about that. But I think if you go to the next topic in terms of how can we help ourselves? Actually, the bigger players probably are not asking for handouts.
Yes.
We don't need grants. We don't ask for grants because we know that the government has limited resources and it's rightfully give to the poorest of the people, the rakyat itself.
Okay.
Don't forget, we also rakyat Malaysia.
Yes.
Okay. But maybe if the banks were more forthcoming for the second or the third tier, and I think this is another major challenge which I hear from all my Bumiputera retailers members whom I represent, and also of course from the MRA on the council. I think the issue here is not, I think the most important here is that for the bigger players, the medium and bigger players, what we find is that the bankers are not so forthcoming because they are focusing so much on what the government is giving in terms of telling them to do. What Benagar said, focus on the 1 million kind of package. So they are giving that out and they are so busy with all those things that the second level player who needs the 2 million, 5 million, and forget the people who need the 100 million, of course. Everybody at a different level need different kind of borrowing. But even the 2 to 5 million, the authorities, everybody is so busy focusing. And these are the people I'm telling you, if they don't get the funding at the right time, it's going to be very challenging. And many of them, I like to put it more bluntly, is that they may be too big to fail.
Yes.
And that repercussion of a bigger player going down, we know what happened in the US when big organizations, big companies go down, when big banks go down, the economy goes really, really down.
Yeah.
So I think the focus, at least forgetting the government through Banagara, of course, will need to pressure the bank to not only focus for the smallest, but go for the medium and the bigger one at a reasonable rates.
Yeah, that's the key part. The key main point here is reasonable rate. Of course, we have some good news for the tenant because the government has appealed to owners of private premises to actually reduce the rental rates for SME during the MCO and the 3 months after it ends. And they will also be given additional tax deduction equal to the amount of rent deduction from April to June. This is a subject to the condition that they reduce the rental by at least 30% during that period. Datin, Winnie, I think this must be a good news for you because most of your saloons are situated at this so-called major malls.
Yeah, I think this is something that was pretty comforting because as I was mentioning to you much earlier during our last live chat,
yes,
I was saying my biggest concern apart from the salary is the rental because I think the rental is takes a lot of as our expenses, because rentals in all the leading malls are not cheap. Already when you're not doing business and when you are not sure whether the landlords are coming in. So at least this time when I did mention about hopefully the government can influence the landlords. So I think that is an area that is a little more comforting. So at least the government is doing that, and our little voices was being heard because I'm sure I'm not alone because like Datuk, Seri, Garry's, all the members of MRCA and I'm sure representing the Branding Association, we have a lot of members who are also doing retail business in shopping malls. So it really is really a very comforting thing that is at least up to June that they are looking at a 30%. Well, I'm sure we will try our very best to have a good relationship with the landlord because if we are good tenants, if we stay on, I think it's also good for the landlord too, is it? Because if we fail, they fail.
So far, I think applicable to all those big malls. But there's another segment that even people like us and other chain store that where you have your shop or your outlet at the shop lots. So this is one area I think I don't know whether the incentive given, I suppose it should be applicable to them, especially the double tax deduction and so on.
Yeah, it's also applicable. Yes, that's right, Dato Sri.
So the only thing is, I think is for the retailer, those retailers, if they have many shops at the shop lot, that could be challenging to get the landlord to give you a discount or rebate. So that is one area that I think for those retailers who have, the outlet are at the shop lots.
You see, TMB is one of the big contributor of the mall bills, you see. For example, some of the bigger malls spend as much as $2 million a month on the TMB bills alone. Okay. So this is very substantial. That's why I mentioned, so far, they're only giving 15%. To me, is totally insufficient. So we will actually engaging with the government. They should talking about 30% minimum. During the lockdown period and the MCO time, that there should be 50%, you see. Because even 50%, hardly there's not much activity, you see. But at least give the 50% during the MCO time. But the next 3 months, at least give another 30%. This will help to cushion off some of the high expenses by the malls. So the malls can trickle down the rebates to the retailers, you see. And I think that is one of the very important issues, you see. Otherwise, it's also not fair to ask the landlord to bear everything. And furthermore, you see, as I mentioned just now, TNB is a public utility company. GLC, they're not supposed to just concentrate just on KPI and profit per se. You see. Last year, they already made 4 billion. I mean, it's nothing wrong to bring even 1 billion to subsidize. If let's say the malls and the retailer doesn't recover, for example, in the next 6 months or year, definitely their consumption of the electricity will also be down. So it's a vicious cycle. So it's better for them to give a drastic support now, because we are talking about something very extraordinary now. It's not something, a normal recession or what. So it's very important they have to chip in, this is what I think. I think it's very important. Of course, at the same time, the landlord also have to repay back. Probably this is a good time to repay back in terms of goodwill. Like Sunbay earlier was the first one to kickstart, and then later some of the other malls, like they're giving, although they're giving 2 months free rental, but still based on GTO and some charges, So that is not so bad. At least during the MCO time, it should be a free rental period, and subsequently it should be just maybe go on GTO, because you can see that most of the big retailers of no issue, those listed and big ones, we know they have very deep pockets. But we're talking about so many of the middle and below smaller retailers, the F&Bs and fashion and all those. They can't even survive for 1 or 2 months in terms of cash flow, because most of them have very shallow pockets and short runways, you see. It's not like Boeing can take and go very far. So if let's say we don't help them at this juncture, I can tell you very fast, very soon, they also will be in deep trouble, because rental consists as much as probably like 30 to 40%, as high as that. Sometimes even more, depends on the turnover, you see. So this is one very critical area. We really need the support of the GLC, TMD, and also the landlord probably can give us good view this time. I'm sure, because all the tenants are long term. If let's say you sacrifice for the next 3 months, a lot of the tenants and the retailers, especially MRC, most of them are all chain members. They'll be very grateful to the landlords. Like some of them have developed very good relationship with us. I think they should develop even further to take these opportunities.
And talking about runway, I think right now the runway is getting shorter by the day. And of course, I want to touch on this as well. The global death toll as of yesterday for COVID-19.
Can I?
Yeah, sure. Dato Wira, go ahead.
If I may comment on the rental, I have a unique position because Maidin also owns 27 malls. But we also rent from many people. So we have taken the position, rightly or wrongly, during the MCO, we have already told all our tenants we will not be charging you rental. We were also probably not the first, but the second or third who said that we will not charge rental to our tenants during the MCO period. But some of the malls that I have are owned by REITs.
Oh, yes.
And they don't seem to reply our calls. So I here have taken the forefront of saying I forgive your rental by waiting from the men up there to tell me they are forgiving me or not. And I can assure you they are much bigger than us down here, because whatever I forgive, end of the day I'm going to be out of pocket if they don't say I forgive you too. Is it? This is it's like a marriage or whatever. Is it? I love you, I love you too, I'm sorry too.
Yes.
But this is tough, because I think the bigger players, some malls are very, very forefront. They're very nice, and it's okay. I forgive your rental for MCO. Some even say even after I give you 50% off. But the many, they are not so kind, not so kind. But especially it hurts us retailers. I'm sure all of us here, when we know them and we know how deep their pockets are. The smaller malls, sometimes we understand, and we all must work together. And I want to echo the part about the shop lots.
Yes.
I think many businesses out there, I mean, malls tend to be the bigger players, of course. They're more branded or whatever. There are a lot of us, many of our association members are shop lot tenants. You see? So what is going to happen to these people? But it's not very clear, you know. And shop lot tenants or landlords for the matter keep telling us that, hey, but this is the only income we have. How will I survive? I think 20 years I'm paying rent. You're saving all your money for retirement. I don't know. Don't tell me you cannot forgive rental for 1 or 2 months. But people sometimes must have the heart, must have the heart. Many people, I feel that don't have the heart. And if all of us seriously work together, the landlord, the tenants and everybody, I'm sure we should be able to get through this COVID-19 scenario.
As of yesterday, the global death toll for COVID-19 has exceeded 70,000, with more than 1.28 million people being infected. So, looking at things, we will have two scenarios, of course. First is MCO. If MCO is lifted after this 14th of April, what will happen to what do you think will happen to the overall economy, the consumer behavior and whatnot? What if the MCO is extended for another period, say for example 14 days or another 21 days? And what will be the implication that it gives to most of the SME and entrepreneurs outside?
I can anticipate there will be a lot of fear out there, even though when we are back, let's say if you are back on into business on the 15th, let's say that a lot of people, my business, maybe we will have some clients coming in because their hair already really too long, and especially those who didn't have a haircut before this lockdown. So the main clients are desperately needing their hair. But generally, we are talking about, we don't want to talk about hair. Let's say if you ask me if I have to eat out, I would think maybe I should eat in. So a lot of people may not even want to go quickly to a restaurant to dine. You don't want to see too many people in the crowded restaurants, or similarly, even in crowded places, right? So it will still going to affect the overall business scenario until we know it's more stable. No way can, the minute they lift up, everywhere will be busy again. It
Business
will
as
not
usual.
be the same. It will not be the same.
Yes.
Firstly, there's no reason even to rush to do your hair or do your shopping, because firstly, there's no more events for a while. So there will be a lot of things that links up to each other, because hotel won't be busy because, so everything links up because it will be slow for months to come. So it's not going to be, you won't see the crowd immediately. I anticipate that hopefully if everything goes well, it might be at least October.
Understand.
Yeah, before the year end, if everything just go well, because this is also at the same time a global scenario, because it's not just Malaysians. People, there's no tourists, tourism is weak, so it actually still affects all sorts of business. So maybe I can see that if Malaysians are concerned, maybe we help each other out. We try to support our our very own labels. Don't travel, don't do shopping so much overseas. So maybe the only way to lift up our very own Malaysian business is Malaysians help Malaysians. Buy Malaysian, it's like cuci Malaysia. So I think a lot of things got to be Malaysian for now if you want to really help the overall business to lift up faster.
First, I want to tell Datin, Winnie, that because people cannot go to the hairdressers, people tend to come to Maidin to buy hair trimmer. So hair trimmers seem to be the good business for during this time lah. Okay. I think we look at it on two things lah. Number one, MCO is not lifted, and number two is MCO lifted. Then what's going to happen? If the MCO is not lifted, we all know it is status quo. This is going to be how we are now. But how shall we manage the economy part of it? It's very important. And I think the government has understood, as you can see by this week, they have announced that certain businesses can open, say, twice a week.
Okay.
So I think the government understands that there are a lot of things there that people need. And if they don't open for business, number one, what people need, they cannot get. And number two, the economy suffers. And I give you some specific example during MCO.
Yes.
We have a lot of challenges, seriously, dealing with authorities. They want to follow the law on one hand, and we in businesses, forget the profit part. Forget, it's not all money making here. We want to serve our customers. We in business have been trained all this while. Serve your customer. Serve your customer the best way you can. And what happens now? Somebody walks into a Maidin store. You know, we have to lock off our areas which are non-essential.
Oh.
Non-essential is subject to one interpretation. Someone says that my hair is graying, I need my something to put on my hair.
That's
it's not essential for the police.
Yes.
Not essential for the authorities. But for that lady, it's very, very essential. But I'm not going that far. I think what I'm trying to say here is that there are people who come to my store and they say, can I get the gas hose? Because my gas tank, the hose sudah pecah. But to get the gas hose, they have to go upstairs, which I've locked down because I'm not allowed to operate. I got people walking in asking for rice cookers. I say, sorry, rice cooker is not essential. You say rice cooker is not essential for you because you got rice cooker in your house. I never cook rice in my house. I'm a bachelor who eats out all the time. But now I'm stuck in my house. I need to cook rice. There are people walking in, they say, can I buy a dough mixer? I say, why? Not essential. You say, no more bread in your store. I have to make my own bread. So, you know, these things sometimes we in the business down there, we understand the customers, we understand we want to serve them. Sometimes you can see them crying there, you know, tolong lah, you know. But
be flexible.
The authorities come to us and, you know, they lock us down. I think because we are dealing with people, we have the heart to serve our customers. So this is a very big challenge anyway during MCO. We understand what the authorities are doing. We understand they don't want people to be shopping around, spending hours in the store. We understand, but where is this balance? In this world, we have a balance. We must learn how to balance. I think the more important point that I want to make is that the government needs to allow businesses to operate even during MCO if the businesses promise to follow the SOPs of the health ministry. See, like you enter a Maidin hypermarket. Number one, we take your temperature. Number two, we give you hand sanitizer. Number three, there are markers 1 meter apart where you must stand. We don't allow for you to crowd around the cashiers, crowd around our weighing counter. Even when you want your chicken to be cut, you got to queue up. So there are many responsible retailers there. I mean, let's not talk about the lady selling nasi lemak at 2 in the morning where 20 people going there. I mean, I think that people must be punished, of course, because they are breaking the law. But there are many people who are responsible. I'm not talking about Maidin. I'm not talking about the small F&B outlet. You tell the small F&B outlet, not more than 5 customers can come into your place. Put your chairs 1 meter apart. I'm sure he will listen because he needs the business. He wants to serve his customers. So I think if this MCO is extended, I hope that the authorities will look at the business, right, and look how it can help the people, because, you know, no man wants to beg money from the government, whether it is the small hairdresser out there or the small F&B. You know, we are not begging for money here. All businesses, all entrepreneurs want to stand on their own feet. So if the government can allow, of course, under strict rules, follow the rules, the F&Bs, you know, the mom and pop shop, you know, whoever they are, I think Malaysians tend to be very responsible. Mm-hmm. And I've seen this, even in my store, only on the first or second day, people do panic buying and, you know, all these things. But after a while, they already understand. I think most people, most Malaysians are very responsible. So let's try to do this. Let's show the government that we are very responsible people. I think the government is waiting. The rules will still be there. I mean, we have already started to install in our store, in a hypermarket. There's a video going around where you go through a tunnel and we use that so-called sanitizing. So we sanitize your whole body as you go into Maidin. Because we know this is not going to be just for today. I think it's going to happen for the next 3 weeks, 3 months or 6 months until this so-called virus, shall we say, sudah diputuskan, you see, right? So even the MCO is lifted, there will still be so many controls out there in terms of social distancing. And there's no two ways about it. None of it. We are not like, I don't want to mention which president, who says, no, business is important. The economic loss for business will cost more life. I think we in Malaysian businesses and our Prime Minister, all of us are very responsible. We don't want even one person to lose their life just because someone can make money. That we will never agree.
You see, what is the objective of MCO? MCO objective is to have distancing of people. See? You can see Malaysia, the problem actually attributed right from the beginning actually was from big groups of gathering, which was allowed. See? That shouldn't be the case. And today, although the DG of MOH is doing a great job, but these are things that is beyond his control because many of them are afraid to come up to do testing because I believe many of them do not have given proper papers, permits. So that's why they went into hiding. So it shouldn't be a blanket sort of, banning on the movement of people. The government should consider giving exceptional cases. And in fact, many of our members and also other SMEs who written in or factories to want to operate, either they got reply very late or was rejected, you see. So there must be some kind of understanding where, as just now Dato Maidin also was mentioning that, as long as the SOP being followed, but of course you cannot operate just like normal days of, let's say you have 100 workers. Perhaps you have to reduce it and to make sure the distancing is there. So as long as the distancing and but essential operations of factories like Malaysia is a very important supply chain to the rest of the world. The day we have a meeting with some discussion with Samsung, I didn't even wasn't aware that Samsung actually supply probably 70% of the worldwide chips from Malaysia to the rest of the world. Can you imagine he has a supplies problem and he can't manufacture, his factory have to stop. Can you imagine the big disruption? And these foreign companies have no direct access to the government, and many of them was commenting that they're looking for alternative sources of moving away from Malaysia. This is very undesirable because this will cause a lot of unemployment also to the country. So we have to track with a lot of skill and care with the foreign FDIs here as well, besides the SMEs from Malaysia. So we have to be very practical. Like certain things like even maintenance of factories and repair of cars, these are very essential. Pet shop could be, all this should be allowed. Even for example, if let's say Pasar Malam, for example, is an open space. If let's say there's some kind of control by authorities, distancing, I don't see any issue, but you have to control the crowd. If let's say there's certain kind of control over there, you will not allow certain number of people going there, for let's say some kind of marketing which you need to buy. Because if you go online or you buy from the hypermarket, of course it costs much more than the normal Pasar Malam, or the normal wet market. So this also another area.
Not necessary.
No, but I can tell you most of the time I also go to the market on and off to check on prices. Not because of just out of curiosity. So it's definitely because you see these people do not have to pay overheads like the hypermarkets and supermarkets. But of course it's different category of customers. Some would like to walk around to source for more varieties at the shops. So what I'm trying to say, there should be some kind of mechanism here to avoid distancing, to have distancing of a crowd. But it should be practical as well, not to only lock down total like MCO. There's nobody allowed to do this, do that. But the good thing, the government has taken very good steps to allow online now, you see. So many of the online companies are still surviving. Earlier, it wasn't allowed, only partly. So the freedom and movement of goods for online should always be allowed, just like in China. It was thriving, you see. Example, I was told like the food companies like Grab and Panda, they have more than 10 times of the business. And other companies who are doing online would not be as badly affected as others, the total shutdown. They have dropped of 40%, 60% or 50%, still not as bad as a total drop of 90 to 100% for some many of the companies who are not even allowed to operate. So it's also not good for the economy. So we have to find, if let's say should there be extension, they might have to fine tune this area. We have to work with the government and see how the government can help.
Our industry perspective, of course, I mean, we would not like it to be extended because in our business, in this apparel business, generally, I think the Raya season is very important to us. I think to most of us, I think the sales of Raya can accounting to 25 to 40% of the whole year sales. So it's very important, critical. If it's extended, of course, it's not going to be good for us. Because I think we had lost, I think, substantial sales during the whole year. Because some of the retail outlets actually, during peak season, we make money. But the low season, we lose money. If we lose that, I think the whole year is gone. That's the industry perspective. And of course, for those manufacturers, it's the same thing. If it's extended, now we are facing cancellation and buyer. Of course, earlier we also faced that overseas buyer diverting their orders to countries which are not shut down. And moving forward, I think if we continue to shut down, of course the confidence level will be, there will be more diversion to other places, like especially in China, because they are opening up. So for those exporters, this is another issue. But of course, having said that, of course we will support the government. If it's like what Dr. Wira has said, that I think life is more important now. This is our perspective now. Of course, support the government. If it has to be extended, it has to be extended. Now, I think that is our view. But of course, we also hope that if it is extended, we hope that one major issue is the wage burden, especially for the bigger company, like I have said earlier. You see, this wage burden, because I think most of us, like I say, we probably have a cash flow to pay 1 month's wages only. Meaning that March, most of us shouldn't have problem to pay. Then moving forward, April, May, if it's extended, then I think all those medium size or bigger company, they also will face this cash flow problem to pay the wages. Assuming you are not paying the rental, you are not paying the supplier. But we still, I think, even we don't pay that, you still have not enough cash to pay the wages. So our view is all the while, the wage burden should be shared, because this is a difficult time by the employer, the employee, and the government. But so far, I think the government has played his part, and we employer. In fact, there was a directive that from JTK to ask us to pay the employee full wages. Then, of course, now the new. I mean, what the PM has said, that we are allowed to negotiate that, But we hope that those people out there, our employee or even the union, will be more understanding, because this is the time that everybody has to share. We are not saying that we are not going to pay you, So I believe sharing of burden is important, because when the thing goes too long, I mean, not a single party can shoulder it, put it away. Even it's quite difficult for the government to shoulder everything. I mean, in the world, of course, the government pays 50%, and the government pays 75%, and 50% or whatever. But I have not seen one government who can pay 100%, can shoulder the wage burden. Likewise for the employer. Earlier directive, they're asking us to pay 100%. To me, that was ridiculous. So now I think we are happier because the government has came up with a much better improved wage subsidy. And also, of course, I hope that because you see, the problem with this media, some of this is the problem of the media. The media has spread everywhere that employer must pay full salary. So to make it very difficult for us to deal with our employee. Because in their mind is that, oh, the directive is we have to pay them full salary, whether they are working, they are not working. So to them, we say, of course, later on we have this directive saying that we have to get their consent. So most of them will be standing very firm because
Correct.
you see the news, they all saying that we have to pay full. So this is one thing that I'm worried because if it's extended, I think this is one issue that we have to address.
Going back to these questions of wage burden. Yesterday, the PM actually has said they right now encourage negotiation between employers and employees on the terms of their employment, including the option to deduct salaries and to allow unpaid leave during the MCO, which was previously not allowed. Previously, we are not allowed, employer are not allowed to terminate, ask the employee to take unpaid leave, nor deduct their salary. But right now, I think the government side is more open to that, as long as we have, good and open heart discussion or negotiation with our employee. This type of opening, what kind of impact will it bring to the employer and employee relationship? Of course, we have to bear in mind all the business owners, when we hire, we never have the intention of firing. It's just that all of us need to do it due to circumstance.
I think this opening actually is very good for those people who are employing foreign workers. We have to understand the subsidy does not apply to foreign workers. Only those employees who are contributing to EIS are entitled to subsidy. So foreign workers actually, they are not entitled. And if you want to follow the previous directive, meaning that we have to pay them full salary. So they could be staying in the hostel and doing nothing, then we still have to pay full salary. Of course, we employer, when we are not so heartless, we think that they have to be paid, but definitely not full. Because even now we have this problem. Because in their mindset is that they are entitled to full salary, as they've been, published everywhere. So you see, when certain company, they got exemption to start operation on 50% capacity. Then all those workers will say, hey, how much are you going to pay me? If I stay at home and I'm getting full salary, now you ask me to go back to work. There's one problem. The second problem is, if you say, okay, you will still get the basic, the same salary, then they will say, why me? Why not the other workers? You understand? So I think a lot of operational problems. So I think it's a good thing that the government has give us this flexibility. Actually, that helps us a lot. Actually, we are very thankful for that.
Yeah. You see, I think that is something where we engage with the government, and then this is something leeway has been given to the staff and the employer. I think it's a very good thing because at least there's an avenue now for negotiation, you see. And I believe many of the good staff who have been with the company, many of our staff, they're willing to compromise, you see. So I think that is very important. There's an avenue here to resolve, at least to alleviate the issues between the employer and the employee. And I think this is very good. And it's again how we handle with the employees. One thing I did mention to the employees and also sharing with others, retailers and SMEs, that you see, we have to give them the comfort. Should the business pick up, let's say, towards the end of the year, and then you still make money, and by Chinese New Year or even next year, beginning of next year, we should allow or at least give them a chance. We have to reward them back, at least, let's say, whatever the losses or the deficit during the period, during the MCO or after that, is it? Mm-hmm. So at least we can give them in terms of bonus or maybe ex gratia, So that is something comfort I think we have to give as well, You may never know, because after the MCO till end of the year or so, you may get a big project, or you have some new contracts coming in, or some sudden surge of sales. If let's say the business has improved a lot, I think it's only fair that we pass back to compensate the employees in the right manner.
Dato Wira, you have more than 10,000 workers. What is your take on that? The burden must be greater on your side.
Well, the Malay proverb is siapa yang memikul dia lah yang rasa berat lah. You know, the person carrying the weight only knows how heavy it is. Everybody else can just talk, right? But I think the point here is very important. It's number one, I don't think there's enough clarity actually in terms of the government allowing to negotiate. The government is saying that, but I think people that are earning 2,100 or 2,010, I think, I don't see any negotiation here allowed. I think here maybe we are talking about negotiation for people above that 2,010. That's my understanding. So if someone can clarify that even the people below the 2,010 you can negotiate, that would be another chapter. But I have one or two suggestions which I think could be useful for how employers can approach this. One approach which we can do, of course, the best approach you say is that, sorry lah, I cut 3,000 above, I cut 50%, or 4,000 above, I cut 50, above that, I cut 75 or whatever. A very simplistic manner. You cut. Of course, when you start cutting, don't forget to cut your own salary the most lah.
Yes.
You know, like my one, I said all the directors pay cut 100%.
Wow.
100% cut. Because that is the way to do it. As a leader, you cannot say, even though I own the company, I myself say 100% cut. Because I also get paid. You see? So 100% cut first. I think leadership must always by example. So you cut first. I think the first most important thing. The second is that it could be difficult sometimes when you talk to employees, cut your salary. The guy earning 10,000 also, you cut 50%. He might not agree to this cut. He says 5,000, a lot of money, boss. You know,
Sure.
And you also don't want to lose these people. They have sacrificed their life for you seriously. Many people working for me have worked for 15 years, 20 years. And we understand where they're coming from. So my suggestion, one method could be that you say, I actually don't have a problem paying you, but I have a cash flow issue. It's not I don't want to pay you, it's a cash flow issue. So if your salary is 10,000, to make just a simple number,
Yes.
not many people earning 10,000, but just for number.
Okay.
10,000, I cut 50%, I pay you 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But the 5,000, actually I save for you. Save for the next 6 months. So I'm actually saving, you're actually saving the money with me for the next 6 months. So I'm actually saving 30,000 with the employer. And maybe after this, business, we doa lah. So this is a good time to ask for forgiveness lah. In whichever religion you are lah, you know.
Yes.
Then we say, okay, I've taken this 5 times $30,000. After 6 months, I will pay you back this in say 24 installments. Right? So I pay you 1,500 or 2,500 or whatever.
Every month.
So in that way, it helps your cash flow. After 6 months, you're doing well. The staff don't feel out of pocket. Hey, never mind, because now I don't have to pay my car loan for 6 months. I don't have to pay for my my house installment. So I don't need the 10,000. I think with 5,000 I can survive. But the 5,000 you can survive with 2,500. But don't go below sometimes 2,000 because I think it's difficult for them to manage it. That's one way to manage. The second way of managing is that you normally can tell them to take, whether you take them to say unpaid leave, which they say I'm out of pocket, or you say you don't take unpaid leave. You actually take leave. I save the leave for you. So next time when I need you or when I need you to pay overtime, I use that sinking fund. Like, you know how banks love sinking fund, right? So like a sinking fund. So I keep it there. So when I need you, I draw from the sinking fund. So 6 months later, I can draw that, you see. So you can draw that money, you can draw your leaves, you can do whatever you want via a sinking fund. So this seems to be a more palatable way of working with your employees, because they are there. I mean, not to say they don't want to sacrifice, but you know, everybody has a certain level of commitment sometimes. Commitment.
Yes.
So this could be one way to do it.
Yeah, good idea.
But you see, the whole idea about the leeway is that you see, once the staff were to take the subsidy, of course they will not come back to after they compromise. They will not come back and take action or complain about the employer. You see, that is the whole idea. See, about this leeway.
To begin with, when we hear about that we can still negotiate with the staff was actually a very welcoming thing, because you see, a lot of our staff have been with us for a long time. As we even have staff as long as 35 years or so, you see. So majority of them are more than 25 years. So we do have a very good and close relationship with our staff. Basically, we treat them almost like a family. But sometimes family of team will understand how the boss feel when, no one wants the ship to sink.
Sure.
So we really hope and use this scenario now that the government says that that we can allow to negotiate. We have actually planned certain things, maybe even to the extent when we reopen back, we will want to suggest that some staff will probably have to burn their annual leave for, we have a lot of thoughts. We really have a lot of thoughts. We would love to pay them, but sometimes if we run short of cash, we can't last long. So it's really, most important thing is it's really not about trying to be the best boss in the world and say, yes, I'm going to pay all my staff, but what happens if I can't last? So this is really a scene that understanding staff will know how we have been treating them this last 30 over years they are with us. We never shortchange any staff over the years. And what was most comforting just now when we have, I even have a staff who called us up and says that, I have a suggestion. I don't think I want my pay for April. One, not to pay him, but don't touch. I think staff, this time we have to come together and understand. If your boss have always been there supporting you, if by deducting maybe 30% or so, we're not asking not to get your pay. Openly say, boss, if we can come back together, let's work this whole thing together. I'm sure I know what kind of boss you are. So we're really hoping for more and more staff will understand this situation and not jump onto it, because the media have not been very helpful. Some of our staff may not be a very educated type. They all read the Chinese paper. Yes, you must pay, you must pay, you must pay. So I think to most of them is they are on the understanding that the boss must pay. So there again, we are really hoping that this scenario change after tomorrow, that kind of thing. So, and we yet to meet anyone to talk about it, but we should really need to have some serious discussion with the team, because it's not easy to reach out to so many, because it's such a big group. So yeah, we will be definitely reaching out before the MCO opens even. Yeah. I was even told some hairdressers, which I don't want to quote name, they even signed this thing even before the government say anything. They wanted their staff to sign to agree to only take half salary. We have not even done a single thing like that, because we still want to pay. So we wanted to be a good boss, but at the same time, we would really like the idea that sometimes it's not just about us. I would want people who understand to say, yeah, it's about time. Sometimes we need to come forward and be good employee. It's not about boss problem. Sometimes employee, you have been enjoying good, a good relationship or earning well for a long time. I think sometimes you have to have back the captain.
Yeah, true. So, of course, lastly, Entrepreneur Inside Straight Talk, the objective of this show is to give people more positive vibes outside, especially for entrepreneurs. Now, all of us know it's a low season. And the only way that we can help each other is by giving our, entrepreneurs or SME out there more encouragement, as well as more words of encouragement as well as the positive vibes out there. Maybe all of our panelists can share some words of inspiration, words of motivation to all our listeners out there, because all of you all are in a way the leader of the industry and the icon of the industry.
My suggestion to all the business owner is we have to keep jobs. Retrenchment should be our last resort, and you should go for unpaid leave, maybe salary deduction before retrenchment. Because if you don't keep the jobs, eventually affect the economy. When so many people are losing their job, then eventually all businesses will be affected. The whole national economy will be affected. That's why all this while we have been telling the government, we have to save the employer, to save job, and save our national economy. So to me, it's try to shoulder on, don't rush to close up your shop. We try to get as much assistance as possible from the government, from the bank, then try to shoulder on. So hope for better tomorrow. Before
summarizing some of the issues here, I think first of all, one area I think probably have been left out in the sense of what about those victims, the patients, those who have recovered and those who have unable to recover. The insurance company should also, in a way, contribute to at least give them some ex gratia or some kind of compensation, is it? Mm-hmm. It may or may not be in a contract. I think this is one area that is important as well, to help these people who have been suffering. And of course, the frontliners, I think many of us also overlook the police and the army, But most importantly, I can see that the Ministry of Health, the medical staff, I think they are the ones who went through the most torture. Can you imagine when they come back when they return home, they can't even go around with the family. They probably have to be isolated as well, is it?
Yes.
And of course, the government is talking about a COVID law. So they'll be considering about COVID law, just like in Singapore. This is also to help to protect everyone even you have a contract, this is also to protect everyone, is it? To ease the contract and also to protect all the interests of everyone, is it? I think that's very important. And lastly, to summarize, I think everyone must sacrifice. That's what we mentioned just now, is it? The banks, the landlords, the government statutory payments, and of course the staff as well who are working in the company. They should also compromise in certain ways to make sure we tie through this difficult period, is it? And I think it's also a test of, lastly, a test of compassion, kindness to each other, and also the gratitude. If let's say you have been successful, it has to be attributes and contribution by other parties, not yours alone, is it? So this is one time we should contribute each and every one to make sure everyone sails through, is it? In supporting also the government has also contributed in this way lately on the stimulus, and hopefully government can also come up with more stimulus to help the other SMEs as well, is it?
Well, as entrepreneurs, we should not surrender so easily, because this is really a time to test our true grit and the perseverance that we have been building up as entrepreneurs. Perhaps treat this season as and somehow got to learn and unlearn ourselves. There's things that we have not been able to do good before. Just do something different, So treat this as a awakening call. We just got to do something to align ourselves so that we can rise back again, instead of moaning about it. Because especially to the young entrepreneurs, I really think that this is really a call of an awakening. Don't be complacent. There's always rainbow after every storm. Just like what our PM talk about. There's always sun after the rain, right? So I think yes, there's always a rainbow after every storm. So go for it, and all the best. Don't surrender so easily.
I just want to address a couple of issues.
Yes.
I think, number one, of course, we must be very grateful to the government. Mm-hmm. They actually did the MCO. I think all of us, all the Rakyat was so unhappy when the government actually announced the MCO. and many were very, very angry with the government. But now that we see, even our neighbor, Singapore, is going to do a stricter lockdown. So for once, we are ahead of our neighbor. I think Malaysia must be very proud to have a government who had been a bit firm, more firm, and you see what's happening all over the world, that you feel really proud that I think our government took the stand. Whatever happens, the riot might not like us, but life is more important. I think I'm very grateful for the government of the day that they took this particular action. The second point, I think that in this whole conversation we are having, we have missed out one crucial point. Is that the banks, the government has asked the bank to extend the loans, which is very good. But I think we have forgotten that most of us are traders, and we trade. But there's nothing from the bank coming for trade facilities. There's no extension for your banker's acceptance, Your banker acceptance is due, you got to pay. Your TR is due, you got to pay. And you cannot have a moratorium and then say, okay lah, whatever you owe me, let's make it 24 months or 6 months or whatever it is. Nobody has really thought about this. What happened to all the traders? As a trader, this is, I think, the most crucial thing. So someone got to think about this, that these facilities need to have a moratorium, and the bank should give a certain percentage extra facilities, temporarily maybe, to tie them over during this tight cash flow problem. I think it's very important. Another point that I think now most people, most entrepreneurs will realize how important it is to be part of an association. Many times before I ask people, hey, join lah, MRA, join bro, join. They say, apa pasal? Every year must pay money only. What you all can do? All big shots sitting there, talk, nothing happened. Only got annual dinner party. It doesn't matter what association. But you can see now how your association, whether it's the Chinese or the Malay or the Indian association for the matter, are working so hard for their members. And we must be very grateful to association people who are working more than their normal. I mean, they are already suffering, The association people are suffering also. Like I said, the bigger you are, the more you suffer. But because of the experience they have gone through cycles, you see many of us smiling out there, because we have got the stone face. We have gone through life. We're all much older, and you can see the people on the panel, they all grey hair one, So since we have the experience, we can still smile when there's something happening. We know because why? We have got over this before, and we can definitely get over it again.
Yes.
So I think this is the most important thing. And even at my age, I find that it's always a learning experience. Now you know the value of family. So I think after this cycle, we all will understand what is family all about. So you know who are your family, you know who are your friends. And more important, you also learn who are your good suppliers who will work with you through thick and thin. I got suppliers telling me now, hey, don't worry, 30 years already, you take my good pay later. And entrepreneurs out there, don't worry. The gray hair here is telling you we have gone all through before and we can do better again.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Wow. Well said. Well said. And thank you very much, all the panelists. To summarize the main essence of the key message that you all want to convey out. Of course, first is entrepreneurs out there, please focus on what you can change, not so much on what you cannot control or cannot change. For example, the MCO we cannot control, COVID-19 also is not part of the plan. Focus on what are the things that we can really control. And of course, with True Breeds, we can really have a chance, a fighting chance to sail through this. This is a worldwide pandemic. Everyone also, one way or another, will be impacted with this economically. But with our perseverance, definitely we can sail through it. Thanks again, everyone, for your precious time and your precious insights. I'm sure all our reviewers tonight will be benefiting a lot from all the insights that you all share. Thank you a lot again. May you all stay safe.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Bye-bye.
having me.
All right.